folks, welcome back to another episode of Project Dark Wolf. Today is going to be a little bit of a different episode. I'm going to share with you a story from just over a year ago, just before Halloween. The kind of strange event that happened. I figured now's as good a time as any, so let's see what you guys make of it. So, this story takes place just over a year ago, when I was staying at a small bed and breakfast just outside of Whitby here in the UK. And I was attending the Whitby Goth Weekend with a group of people from a wildlife conservation programme. I'm not going to mention any names here to avoid embarrassing them, but we had a fairly good group going there, and there weren't quite enough rooms in the bed and breakfast for us all. So I wound up sleeping on the ground floor of this little bed and breakfast, sleeping on the couch there. And it was fine. Got 3 nights into the stay, and nothing out of the ordinary. Right up until about 3rd night, and it got to 1 AM, and I was woken up by the sound of the dogs barking. We had 2 dogs there, and they were locked in the kitchen every night. The owner didn't want them roaming around the house and waking people up. The sound of their barking woke me up straight into sleep paralysis. Now, if you've ever experienced sleep paralysis or read up on it, then you know that it follows more or less the same kind of pattern every time. Whoever experiences it will wake up completely paralysed, their full cognitive abilities there, they can think critically, but they're unable to move. Their body essentially is still sleeping. They wake up like this and immediately sense some sort of evil or demonic presence in the room with them. I'm not saying that there is that presence, but that is how the mind behaves, and I don't think that anybody's quite sure why. I've experienced this once before in my life, so I knew exactly what to expect, and sure enough, I woke up, recognised that I was still paralysed, and I knew that I was going to imagine some sort of demonic presence in the room with me, some sort of evil being. Sure enough, I felt this shadowy form in the dark on my left, and I thought, I know what's happening. My brain is trying to come up with something because of some sort of innate response to this situation. I'm going to ignore it. And I still felt this terrifying, overwhelmingly evil presence in the corner of the room. Now, I can imagine that if I hadn't been familiar with the experience, this would have led to the usual state of absolute terror, but I knew what was going on, and I just calmed myself down, told myself it wasn't real, and sure enough, this evil, shadowy entity just disappeared. I felt sure that I was about to regain control of my body at that point, until I heard the soft clicking on the hardwood floor of this place, of one of the dogs walking into the room. Then I felt this little doggy snout just nudging at my foot, which was hanging off the edge of the bed. I couldn't move. One of the dogs had somehow gotten out of the kitchen, had come to say hi, and I absolutely could not move a muscle. All I could do was lay there, as I heard the padding, walking a bit further, and then it took my left hand, or my left arm, which was hanging off the edge of the couch, and just held it in its mouth. I could feel its breath on my skin. I could feel its teeth just very gently digging into me. It took me a good 30 seconds before my body finally allowed me to move. And as you can expect, the moment I did, my head snapped round to the left. As it did so, my arm went completely limp and fell down by my side. The dog wasn't there. There was nothing in the room with me. The 2 dogs, which were still locked in the kitchen, had gone quiet now and gone back to sleep. And I was left there, having completely woken up. Luckily, I had the foresight to write everything down immediately after it happened, because otherwise I would have gone back to sleep and woken up and thought, well, that was a crazy dream. However, I wrote everything down in a little notebook I had with me at the time, everything that had happened. I still have that notebook somewhere to this day. The strange thing, it got stranger, because another one of the visitors who was staying there with us She came down the next day from one of the upstairs rooms to find us talking about this strange experience I'd had. She asked what had happened, and I told her. I told her about this strange spirit dog that had paid me a visit, and she looks at me with completely serious expression, and she said that she had been kept awake the entire night by recurring dreams that there was a dog or a wolf-like creature staring in through the window of her room, and she was on the 3rd floor. Now, I have no idea what happened that night. It is one of the strangest experiences I've ever had, and there's been a few. With a more rational approach to it, I like to try and dismiss it as it was simply a dream where I somehow managed to write down the experience in my sleep perfectly, which would be kind of strange in of itself, and that maybe the other lady who was staying with us simply just happened to have a similar dream on the same night. I think it's one of those things that's best left not looked into in too much detail, because if nothing else it makes for a pretty good story to tell at Halloween. So that's it, the Dark Wolf creepy Halloween story. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next video pretty soon.